Okay, let me set the mood a little bit. Have a little sip of water here. Let me see, what should the mood be? Something mysterious.
All right.
You know, I went to see this brother from Zimbabwe who was playing, they call it impaired, this thing, it's on piano. The thing looked like a big, huge, I don't know what kind of shell they had. And he was so charming. At the watchtowers in the big area. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you my name, but unless you come from Zimbabwe and you are one of the Shona people, you will not be able to say.
Yeah, right.
And somebody said, "What was that?" And you repeated it.
All right, okay.
And now, as I begin to play, the first thing I want to do, since I see some babies in the audience, oh no, I'm not talking to you, the big guy in the front row. I'm not talking to the big baby. I'm talking to the little babies. I'm going to quiet them down. So the only other thing that will make them feel much more quiet is to have a little nipple in the mouth. But you know, where I come from, the woman could take the little nipple and put it in the mouth. But here, everybody might think it's no good. So I'm going to do this for the mothers with the babies. I'm going to put the babies to sleep.
I'll wake you up. It's all melody and then all of a sudden, bam, bam. No. No.
That's the end of it.
No. No.
But it was such a great afternoon.
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to business here. Chapter 6 of Waiting to Exhale.
Not.
Shackles Across Time.
Shackles Across Time, definitely.
Shackles Across Time.
You got it. Okay.
Let me go.
Yes.
Let me go. I can't. I unshackled myself.
I am glad.
Across time.
All right, across time. In time.
In time. Just in time.
All right. In this moment in time, would you read chapter 6?
Okay,
please?
this moment in time. Okay, we all know a little bit of the backstory about the 3 families who have 3 children who are somewhat disabled in some way. You got a schizophrenic, nymphomaniac, and a hydrocephalic disformed child with seal flippers for hands and feet. And now the story continues with Chester L. Simmons, who has just read his excerpt from his book, Odie, and I'm transferring the action to Chester L. Simmons' point of view, because now we become acquainted somewhat with the family, and he's going to be a major figure in the story as it goes on, as you shall see. Chapter 6. Chester L. Simmons, author, casually surveyed the assembled group. A bunch of intellectual parasites. And where, pray tell, did you find inspiration for your story, Mr. Simmons? Well, believe it or not, it was in the penitentiary. I got it off the grapevine, in a manner of speaking. Chester did some time at one point. I got it off the grapevine, in a manner of speaking. Interesting thing about life in the joint, you can get hold of information there that people on the outside are never exposed to. The newspaper people, magazine literary types, black and non-black, male and female, lounging around in his hotel suite, courtesy of Heritage Publishing House and Company, one of the notable publishing companies. that I've invented for my own purposes.
I understand.
Personal appearances arranged in 11 more cities. A PR man, first class all the way, laughed indulgently at the irony as they sloshed more scotch into their glasses and made random notes. When you get big and hit it, the publishing company will spend money on tours and stuff. A good friend of mine named Old Patch, because he only had one eye, but he had a superb peripheral vision. Once again, the indulgent laughter. Guess this is what it means when you're a celebrity author with another best-selling book in the stores. Yeah, believe it or not, the brother could practically see behind himself. He was a legend in his own time. Anyway, to make a long story short, he pulls up on me in the yard one afternoon. The yard in prison is where social interactions, including murders, take place.
Okay.
Hey, Buddha! That's what they used to call me because of my almond-shaped eyes and my generous tummy. Hey, I want you to check something out for me. We got this new fish over here talking some crazy shit. I want to know what you think. Everybody in the joint knew, even back then, that I was interested in reading stories, writing stories, telling stories, hearing stories. Mr. Simmons, was this before or after you went to Europe with Ife Ibom, the diva? Chester screwed up a distasteful expression on his face to accompany his answer. Sounds like somebody's been reading my stuff. No, my friend, this was way before. The time frame I'm relating to dates back to when I was firmly domiciled up in Statesville Penitentiary, Joliet, Illinois. The new fish had a hell of a story to tell. He ran it out to us that he was one of the last remaining direct descendants of a slave trader named Corte. Chester took note of a couple of black reporters perking up. Yeah, an African slave trader on what the British used to call the Gold Coast when they were in control. You say this guy was an African slave trader? One of the white men called out for reaffirmation. Yes, an African. Don't forget, gentlemen and ladies, it was called the slave trade, which meant that whoever had bodies for sale were in the trade. That's a section of the African human being business that we haven't even started trying to deal with. Now, here's what the new fish laid on us. As I'm sure you all know, in the 1800s, when the U.S. government passed a law that said no more Africans can be imported for the purpose of slavery. Remember, y'all, we didn't immigrate. A white man named Mayer, M-E-A-H-E-R, made a bet with another white man, naturally, that he could successfully defy the federal blockade and run some more people up in here. The bet, according to the new fish and my subsequent research, was for something like $10,000. The equivalent, I guess, of maybe $500,000 today. Mayer got hooked up with a Captain Foster and commissioned his ship, the Clotilde, to do the dirty work. Been that way for a long time, huh? Having the little guy do the dirty work. Several of the white men, not quite sure if he was joking, laughed self-consciously. All right. Here goes Captain Foster on the good ship Clotilde to steal some more brothers and sisters. Sorry about that. I meant to say buy some more brothers and sisters. After the voyage, Foster pulled up on the west coast of Africa around about 1848 or so, depending on whose calendar you look at. It appeared from the story that the brother played out on us that the good Captain Foster didn't spend a lot of time lollygagging and jaw-jacking. Mr. Simmons, you say he didn't do Chester anticipating their linguistic shortcomings. He didn't waste a lot of time. He dealt with the dealers and prepared to get on back to Alabama to collect his commission and share of human beings. I hate to say slave all the time. It's such a dehumanizing word that gives every indication that the Africans who were captured, kidnapped, stolen, busted, or whatever, was slaves from the minute the Euro guys set eyes on them, on us. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with that sentence that goes, 300 slaves were loaded onto the ship, or, quote, the slave trader bought 300 slaves, unquote. All of that literary rhetoric is incorrect. Primarily, firstly, for those who can't get it in, who can't get into primarily, we were Africans who were enslaved. That's right, Mr. Simmons, a dark-skinned man called out, the old school tie tied around his neck, forcing the veins out in his throat. Just acknowledged the man with a cool-headed nod and continued. Any of y'all ever seen the deck plan of a slave ship? He smiled maliciously as all of the African-American reporters raised their right hands. And only two of the whites. Chicken said, motherfucker, still in denial mode, huh? Well, you know damn well you've seen a standard diagram of how people crush together like sardines, hypocrites. He made an instant decision not to antagonize them by screaming out, you chicken shit motherfucker. Well, anyway, just as they were about to sail away, this trader named Quartet comes up with one more body for sale. There's a 20-year-old kid who is one of the surviving members of his family, him and his grandfather, members of a family that had been virtually wiped out by a random slave trading hunting expedition. That's right, folks. We're talking genocide, Holocaust, diaspora here. We don't really want to get into the 10 million who were wiped out in Leopold's Congo, do we? Chester didn't enjoy the weird expression that flitted across the faces of his audience. Well, let's leave all that where it is for a moment. The boy's grandfather begged trader Quartet not to sell this last member of his family, the future seeds of the family. Begged him, according to the New Fisher's account. The brother who told the story was not absolutely certain why the boy's family had been sold while they owed trader Quartet cowrie shells, money at the time. The most profound theory is that the trader was in love with the girl who was in love with the young man. Whatever. In any case, the young brother was ripped off. His name, incidentally, was Kofi Boateng Bookman. The foul deed was done. He was taken aboard the Clotilde, but that's not the end of it. Excuse me, I gotta go pee. Chester hopped from his griot chair and beeline to the men's room. This prostate shit. He stood inside the men's room, listening to the amused buzzings of the reporters as he relieved his bladder. Look like it's time for me to have this little old prostate gland checked out again. He washed his hands and paused to look at himself in the mirror above the wash basin. 60 years old, a little less hair than I used to have, and it's mostly gray. A few more wrinkles at the corners of my eyes. Same old pot belly. No high blood pressure, no heart problem. Still got most of my teeth. Thank goodness for implants. Glasses for reading. Shit, I ain't doing too bad at all.
No.
Sorry, folks, when you gotta go, you gotta go. He studied their cynical smiles and jaded laughter. He could easily get behind their perception of him, a hip old man in the old-fashioned sense of the word, and despite the fact he was a writer, he could see them comparing him to B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, Red Fox, and Ernest Gaines. If I blew a harmonica or plucked a guitar, I'd have them all dancing by now. Now then, where was I? The young man was taken aboard the Clotilde. All right, good. I see I haven't lost you yet. The young man was shipped away despite the grandfather's pleas. What the trader Quartet failed to consider is that the grandfather had big-time medicine going for him. He was practicing the religion before it was called a religion. More likely it was Paulo. He decided to ignore the blank spaces on most of their faces and plunge on with them that knows, know. The old man had powerful medicine going for him, and right there on the beach he put a curse on the traitor Quartet and the Quartet descendants. Quartet had the old man strangled later that night for putting the curse on him. Yeah, it sounds like mafia stuff, right? Mr. Simmons, what was the curse? Chester pretended he hadn't heard the question as he continued speaking. About a month later, Quartet and most of his family were swept up in a slave raid and sold off to Brazil, which didn't abolish its slave business until 1888, as you all know. Talk about poetic justice. The young man was sold, managed to regain his freedom after 10 years of bondage, struggled to get back home, got married, and reestablished himself. Meanwhile, as I understand it, Quartet's descendants were scattered everywhere: Brazil, Barbados, Trinidad, Alabama, Georgia, Mexico. Might be some of y'all in this room. Mr. Simmons, is this a true story? No one has been able to prove that it's a lie. What was the curse? You'll have to buy a copy of the book to find that out. And you say this is the story that your book is based on? I'd be more comfortable saying interwoven around. Mr. Simmons, couldn't you give us a tiny hint of what the curse was, and is it still operative? Chester stared obliquely at the fleshy young blonde, noting but ignoring her deep cleavage that her firmly packed buttock line. I think the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Y'all would be the ones to tell me if we have a well-made dish or not. He enjoyed the puzzled frown on the blonde's face. Tried to use your stuff on me, huh? I'll show you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Alan R. Rich, the PR man, right on time. Alan slid up to whisper to Chester's right ear. Chester, that was super. Got a call while you were rapping. Some kind of reunion group called the Descendants of Quartet or something like that. Thought you might like to check them out. Chester stared at the telephone number Alan handed him. Descendants of Quartet? He had purposely stuck to the story he had gotten from the man in prison and the feel of his own imagination rather than attempt to track family members down. And now they were tracking him down. Wonder what it all means. He began to smile and glad hand his way through the reporters and well-wishers, who were still sipping and munching. Descendants of Quartet. Gotta give him a call. Mr. Simmons, may I have your autograph, please? He put on a cold-blooded mask as he reached for the ballpoint and the book she held out to him. Gorgeous young sister, probably not older than 25, light cocoa colored, full of bristling hormones. He could feel her body heat as she stood next to him. Full breasts, tiny waistline, flat hips, hot buttered thighs. They were a new breed, these young women. He checked her strong stance, the aggressive eyes and chin line. Hey, you lift weights? Yes. Not unless I have to. I'm a freelance writer like yourself. Well then, I guess that gives us something in common to talk about. I should certainly hope so. Why don't you stick around for a bit? I intend to. Just to stutter step through a few more cynical reporters from the big dailies, full of himself and free scotch. He knew they were going to give his latest book, Odie, good reviews because it had already been stamped approved by a couple of famous white people and the New York literary establishment. It was that simple. If New York approved, you had a leg up on the obstacles ahead. He winked at the gorgeous young black woman as he made his way through the suite's master bedroom to make his call. This will only take a few minutes, he mimed to her. He slowly closed the bedroom door on her lascivious stare. Then Man, I'm getting too old for this kind of stuff. He dialed a number that his PR man had given him his thoughts on the luscious young woman in the other room. Good afternoon, my name is Chester Simmons, and I'm returning a call that was made to me by Dr. Quist Johnson. Hello, Mr. Simmons, this is Mrs. Quist Johnson, also Dr. Quist Johnson. My husband is also Dr. Johnson, which caused a lot of confusion at times. I can imagine. Thank you for returning our call so promptly. No problem. He waited through what has been traditionally called a pregnant pause. Mr. Simmons, we have just finished reading Odie, your latest book, and we think it's a marvelous work. Thank you, Dr. Chris Johnson. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. We'd like to have you join us for dinner tomorrow evening, if that's convenient for you. My husband said, you know the man is on tour and he has a busy schedule. Just did a quick mental flip of his tour schedule, weighed a few priorities. Dr. Chris Johnson, my PR man made me understand that you are a descendant of a man named Kwame Corte. He felt a twinge of embarrassment, but how else could he ask? Yes, that's true. We traced the genealogical charts. I'm one of his direct descendants. What time is dinner? 6:30. See you tomorrow evening. It'll be a pleasure to have you. He hung up the phone and sat on the side of the bed thinking. The writing life is so strange. There were times when he felt that the subject or the thing or the event that he was writing about had come to be because he had written it into being. It was almost mysterious. Am I creating a situation for it to be, or is it creating me? Cortez's descendants. The only one he had met, the one who claimed to be a descendant, was the brother in the joint who had supplied him with the framework for his novel. Were these people the types who jumped out of the woodwork the minute they thought they had a chance to share a bit of newspaper print? His intuition said, no, not the quiz. This is the real deal. Well, I'll find out tomorrow evening at dinner. Dinner? Where? The phone ringing jarred him. Yes, Chester Simmons here. Mr. Simmons, we closed off our conversation before I had a chance to give you our address and directions. Chester smiled. Yeah, we got the real deal here. Chester stared at the ceiling, his hands nestled in the palms of his head. His hands nestled in the palms of his hands. Oh, like this. Thinking. He made a serious effort to start each day thinking, reconstituting the day before, picking through it to see what he should have done, or if he should have done anything differently, whatever it was. And finally, working all the way up to the present. He turned slightly to his left to stare into the face of the beautiful young black woman sleeping by his side. His eyes traced the outline of the firm chin line, the gorgeously curved mouth, the flaring nostrils, the sultry, almond-shaped eyes. A mistake. Intelligent, sexy, but empty. He couldn't quite place his emotional finger on what was missing. Maybe it's got something to do with condoms. Maybe that's it. It's like the real feelings have been covered up. You can go to sleep as you think you want to, but the feelings are still covered up. You can go as deep as you think you want to, but the feelings are still covered up. He smiled at the idea. Bullshit. There's probably something in me that ain't happening. He was into the end of the first week of his 12-city PR tour and had already slept with 4 different women. It was almost an impersonal thing. During the course of an autograph session or while question and answers were being played back and forth, someone would hit on him. Or he would flirt himself into someone's willing arms. He turned away from the beautiful face to stare up at the ceiling again. Oh well, thus begins my day. 8:30 a.m. Alan Rich's triple knocking on his bedroom door stirred him out of his daydreaming. Yes? Alan here, Chester. Just wanted to remind you we're scheduled for this Ladies Literary Society thing over in Leimert Park at 10 a.m. Thanks, Alan. See you down in the lobby at 9:30. Right. Guy's like a metronome. He does nothing but keep time. The tapping on the door had awakened his bedmate. Good morning, Mr. Simmons. He felt like laughing aloud in a formal way. I think would be entirely appropriate under the circumstances to call him Chester. She flashed a glittery white smile at him and stretched her arms up for a sexy yawn, inviting Chester to move closer. Another day was happening. 45 minutes later, he strolled into the lobby to keep his appointment, the gorgeous young woman at his side. Alan Rich took a deep, involuntary breath, staring at the woman's bustline. Chester decided not to introduce them. Can we give you a lift somewhere? No need to. I'm parked in the garage around the corner. He was beginning to feel a little awkward. Well, Sylvia Banks. They both smiled. Well, Sylvia, as you probably know, I'll be in town until tomorrow night, and then I'm off to Dallas, New Orleans, Birmingham, Atlanta, Richmond, Philly, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, New Hampshire, Portland, Maine. Sounds like you're going to be on the move. How will I get in touch with you? I left my card on your desk. Call me sometime. I will. She strutted away, sprinkling her fingers in a goodbye wave. Alan Rich couldn't resist staring at the smooth, swiveling motion of her hips. Chester, we got the car up front. Chester watched her dissolve into a small group of people exiting a side door. Beautiful woman, but a little empty. I'm with you, Alan, lad. I'm with you. Bright, sunshiny day in L.A., La La Land, USA. He settled into a velvet corner of the back seat of the limo, thinking randomly pleasant thoughts about the women he was meeting during the course of his tour. Made me feel like a baseball player or a basketball player. Which one of them wrote a book that declared he had slept with 2,000 women? Chamberlain. Yeah, wrote the still. I can believe it now. I didn't believe it then. He took a surreptitious peek at himself in the rearview mirror. What's the attraction? Just to say I slept with a star? That's all some men care about, brand names and labels. We'll have the lunch at Ma Maison, meet with a couple of biggies, get you back to the hotel for a couple of hours for siesta, per your instructions, and then this evening at 7, Alan, slow it down. I've made an appointment to have dinner at 6 with members of the Quartet family. Quartet? You know, from my book. Oh yeah, right. Slipped my mind for a second. Dinner at 6, you say? 6:30. Just a smile watching the cinders spin around in the busy man's head. Well, let me see. We had you scheduled to meet with a writer's workshop at the Los Angeles City College at 5, but I guess we'll have to make that expendable. I mean, let's face it, if you only have another day here, you can't be everywhere at the same time. You got that right. Once again, the cylinders whirl. Members of the family, descendants of the slave trader in your book. Well, one of them is, that's what she said. You know something, Chester? Maybe this could work out to be something. Why don't I make arrangements to get a photography over there with you, or look the local TV stations, boot the thing up a bit. You know what I mean? No, Alan. We're not going for any publicity on this one. I've been invited to dinner, period. Sure, Chester, no problem. This is your show all the way. Chester stared out of the window at sunny Los Angeles, hating the Alan Riches of the world. They're so spineless, yet so necessary, in their own way, ruthless. They're going to survive and thrive like cockroaches no matter what happens. Oh well. Let me see what the hell I can say to the Ladies Lit Society of Leimert Park. Ladies, you should have seen the old boy last night. You would have been proud of me. End of chapter 6. And we'll be going on to chapter 7 tomorrow evening.
Wow, that's quite something. Well,
yeah, it's going different places.
Yes, it certainly is. Okay, this is Shackles Across Time.
Shackles Across Time.
Can be purchased.
Hey, how do you like the graphic in the back?
I like the graphic in the back.
I didn't show you this before.
No, you didn't.
I've never shown it to anybody.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Very nice. Africa, red.
That's
green,
what it is, yeah.
Red, green, and black. All right, I like that. All right, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. And the front is, again, Shackles Across Time.
Shackles Across Time.
Can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Author House. Go to your local bookstore. And at the bookstore, say, I want Shackles Across Time by Odie Hawkins. Website, www.odiehawkins.com. If you like these videos, please subscribe. Hit the like button, and enjoy your evening.
You better.
All right. Thank you again for this evening's reading from the chair.
It's really my pleasure.
Why, thank you.
What was that term you used? Moment to moment?
Moments in time.
Thank you for sharing one of these moments in time with me. I certainly enjoyed sharing one of these moments in time with you.
Yes, sir.
I always enjoy sharing moments in time with you.
Why, thank you, sir.
Is that all I need to say?
This is so true. This is so true. Okay. Google Odie Hawkins and you will be surprised at what you find. Ciao.
Moments in time.
Moments in time.